because not everything I read can be academic military history or even fantasy alternate history. Today's book is, yes, a Star Trek media tie-in novel. There are hundreds of these things which manage to attempt to fill in all the various nooks and crannies left behind by the TV shows and films. This one, published back in 1998, attempted to fill in a time before Kirk took over the Enterprise. It is something that is now rather famous because it's the subject of the latest Star Trek TV series, Star Trek Strange New Worlds. This takes a different look at the first mission where Spock is the science officer under the command of Pike and the rather chilly number 1. The storyline here is that after joining the Enterprise, Spock and the rest of the crew go on a mission to investigate a planet that Pike had visited years before as part of a undercover first contact. The planet had been ravaged by a nuclear war and now consisted of various factions. On the way, a Vulcan vessel is discovered, or at least the wreckage of it, which contains the MacGuffin in the title, which is a large gem that was sent away from Vulcan to be hidden during the various conflicts that took place before they accepted the teachings of Sarek and became logical. From there, the book turns into a murder mystery, and if that wasn't enough, there is a C-plot involving the newly arrived Montgomery Scott down in engineering making space hooch. No, I'm not joking. It shouldn't work, but it all kind of does. There's a certain charm about this. DC Fontana knows her stuff. After all, she was a major factor behind the scenes for the original series and for the first few seasons of Next Generation until she couldn't handle the behind-the-scenes chaos any longer. Obviously, there wasn't any hard feelings since she wrote this novel in the late 90s. I suppose that I should point out that if you are reading this book before watching Strange New Worlds, there is a piece of information that in the TV series is treated as a spoiler, or at least as an important mystery to be solved by the viewer in the first couple of episodes, that is essentially just announced to us casually in the book. So if you are concerned about such things, you should watch the series at least through episode 4 before tackling this. A nice piece of continuity, because so often, by definition, these books were considered non-canonical, rarely connecting to the TV or films instead of simply feeding off of them, which is a nice touch, actually. I'm not sure if this is the piece of media that started that piece of information. Yes, I'm being obscure on purpose, but if so, it's a nice touch. So, wrapping up, do I like this book? Yes, I do. Now the question, how often will I be rereading it? This one nicely slots in the 2 to 5 year range, unless I decide to marathon a bunch of Star Trek novels. I enjoyed the characterization, and there's nothing here that's too strange. I admit the subplot with Scotty is a bit odd, considering his characterization in the original series and in the other tie-in fiction, where he loves his engines so much, he would actually be altering them, in a sense, to create his space hooch. But it's something that doesn't take away from the plot And there are a few chuckles in it, especially if you know how militaries often rely on unwritten rules and things happening without the brass knowing about them. So, if you enjoyed this review, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll be back with another book soon.